Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. My name is Maria KOROLOV, and I'm the editor here at MetaStellar. And I'm here to talk about the #1 best-selling free science fiction book on Amazon today. And it's not just one book, it's a box set of 3 books in one set. But before we get to that, there's 9 other books that I want to get through that are on today's top 10 list. You see, every Friday, the team here at MetaStellar reads the first few chapters of every sci-fi and fantasy books on Amazon top 10 free list. And the link to that list is in the description box below. And this week, I was joined by MetaStellar editors Amira Lutfi, Alex KOROLOV, and Carla Nordlund for the reviews, as well as MetaStellar contributor Noreen Brenner. Unfortunately, none of them could make it to the taping today. Maybe next week, guys. So today's list includes aliens and witches and mermaids and a super soldier with mystical powers. And a link to that article is in the description box below. For those who are new, MetaStellar is an online magazine of speculative fiction. All the content is always free for our readers. We publish original short stories, reprints, excerpts, essays, and lots of book reviews. And we're able to do this thanks to the kind support of our Patreon contributors. We love you guys. And also thanks to you, we were able to publish our first anthology this summer, available now from all the major bookstores in both print and electronic form. The link to that is down in the description box below as well. All right. Oh, and if you happen to write science fiction or fantasy or horror, our fall submission period closes on October 31st. So that's just 3 days away. We're looking for short fiction of up to 1,200 words, and we pay 8 cents a word for the stories that we choose to publish. So you've got only a couple of days left to get your story in. But you can submit reprints and excerpts at any time. All right, and without any further ado, let's get started into book number 10 on today's list. This one is called Get Smoked or Go Home by Martha Carr and Michael Anderle. I've read these 2 authors before. I love their books, and I was really looking forward to reading this one. At first, I was a little bit worried because the protagonist is 17 and she makes some bad choices. She wants to go to art school. She gives her family an ultimatum. She winds up joining the military instead of just waiting a couple of months till she turns 18. So I wasn't quite too enthused about that plot, but the book itself was gripping. I started it over lunch and I finished it. I just read the whole thing. I took a long lunch and it just kept me at the edge of my seat, even though there was no plot in this book. Nothing happens in this book. There's no big bad that she's fighting. There's glimmers of magical powers, but no real clear sense of what's going on, who her enemy is, what she's supposed to do. Nothing. But I couldn't stop reading. I love the book. And the entire series, there's 12 books in the series. The other books are $5 each, but they're all in Kindle Unlimited. So after I finished writing this article, I took a dinner break, I read the second book in the list. Yeah, I read the whole book. The second book, so in the first book, she went to basic training. And in the second book, she goes to parachuting school in the military. And again, we're starting to see clearer sense of who the enemy is, but still nothing definite. Starting to see more hints about what her powers are, but again, nothing clear or definite. So really, there's still not much plot in the book. She goes through training and she makes some friends. Again, I couldn't stop reading. So I got the sense that the authors either really know the military well or have interviewed a lot of people for these 2 books. I just had a great time reading it. And for people who like military, speculative fiction. I highly encourage this. No teenage drama here, even though she's 17 and 18 in these books. She's very matter of fact, very mission oriented. I liked her a lot, and I love the series, and I plan to continue reading it this weekend. Okay, next we have Night Shift Witch by Cate Lawley. The first of 4 books in the Night Shift Witch Mysteries, which is a cozy paranormal mystery series. The other books are $1 to $3 each, but they're not in Kindle Unlimited. This is the second time this book has been on this list. We previously reviewed it a year ago last August. And Amira Lutfi read this one, or read the beginning of this one. And she says the book takes place in 1999 out in the boonies of Texas. Stephanie is a powerful witch in training, and she can read people via skin-to-skin contact. And she's been practicing seeing the truth through somebody else's eyes. And so this makes a little bit awkward to interact with people because she's having trouble turning this off. And she's applying for a job at a funeral home. And she didn't want to make eye contact with her interviewer because she didn't want to see too much. And also she's checking him out. They're both young, and he seemed really nice to her, and he hires her for the night shift. So so Amira says that she's guessing that Stephanie's going to work at this funeral parlor and kind of fall in love with this guy, and a crime occurs maybe at some future point in the book. It seems like a little bit of a slow beginning. It is my kind of book. If it was in Kindle Unlimited, I'd probably check it out and read the series. But as is, there's a lot of other cozy mystery books that I have on my bookshelf right now, so I probably won't be getting to it. But check it out. All right, next we have Apparition in the Kitchen by Katie O'Keefe. The first of 3 books in the Designer to the Dead cozy mystery series. The other books are $2 to $3 each, and the entire series is in Kindle Unlimited. And I read the beginning of this one, and so this is why I was saying that there's a lot of other books in the cozy mystery genre I'm going to be reading. So this one's about an interior designer in a small town, and she's also a medium, so she can see ghosts. And her best friend Cameron is a real estate agent, and Cameron wants her to figure out what's happening with this house that she's trying to sell, where there's a ghost, and the ghost is scaring off potential buyers. She's not hiring her to do the decorating, and the house is beautiful. So she's being hired for her medium abilities. So she shows up with her cat, who has some kind of magical abilities of his own. And she has to get the ghost to show herself, which she does by criticizing the owner's decorating style, because the ghost is the previous owner. It's a very fun, lighthearted beginning. And I liked everything about this book. And once I'm done with those Martha Carr and Michael Anderle books, the number 10 of this list, I might check this out for a nice change of pace. Next, we have First Life by Nathan Hystad, the first of 4 books in the River Saga Alien Invasion science fiction series. The other books are $1 to $5 each, but they're all in Kindle Unlimited. The author has been on this list before. We reviewed his book Lost Contact back in August. So the book starts out with Colton Beck's doctor telling him that he only has 6 months to live. Colton's been expecting the news for almost 20 years, ever since the aliens arrived. See, this is set in the near future, and what happened was the aliens showed up and they fixed a whole bunch of problems for humanity, but a tiny percentage of people came down with this disease called Xeno, which is deadly. And it doesn't keep Colton from working. And in the first couple of chapters that I read, I didn't see what the symptoms of this disease actually were. It didn't seem to like interfere with his life at all. So he's got a job doing some kind of engineering construction on a classified alien project of some kind of a barge. And there's a problem he's got to fix, which is a good thing because he's got to take his mind off the bad news that he just got. So it looks like somebody has tried to sabotage it. It turned out to be someone he knows who thinks that the aliens are up to no good. And Carlton winds up nearly shot. But he's not too worried about being killed because he's only got 6 months left to live anyway. And at least, you know, he won't have to like worry about dying for the next 6 months. It'll be over and done with. So it's a bit of a grim, depressing beginning. The book is readable, and I'm very intrigued by the secret construction project and what the aliens are working on. And what about this disease that Carlton has? What's going on with it? So I could easily keep reading, but it's a kind of sad and depressing, and the other books that I want to read are a lot more cheerful, and I need some cheering up right now. So I want to go with them instead. But if you want to check it out, it's free, and the rest of the books are on Kindle Unlimited, which, by the way, if you don't know, Kindle Unlimited is you pay $10 a month and you read all the books you want. It's a fantastic deal if you read more than a couple of books a month. Okay, next we have Ocean's Justice. Here we go. Ocean's Justice by Demelza Carlton. The first book in the 6-book Siren of War fantasy series. The other books are $3 to $5 each, and they are not in Kindle Unlimited. This is the second time this book has been on this list. We previously reviewed it a year ago, last December. Demelza Carlton is a frequent flyer on this list. We have so many books from her that I can't even start telling you. She's here all the time. She writes a lot of retold fairy tales, kind of like romantic fantasy. And this book is a retelling of The Little Mermaid. So there's people who are mad at the main character, Maria, and they throw her into the ocean on a raft, and she's rescued by some kind strangers in a boat. And the captain of the boat believes that she's a monster who sank the last ship she was on. And Amira says that the book is kind of moves really quickly, and it's oddly structured, and it's giving her reverse harem vibes. And so reverse harem is where the woman winds up with like all the guys. She doesn't have to choose between them. But I don't know if it is a reverse harem or not. So if that's something that concerns you, you might want to look into that a little bit further before diving in. All right, so Amira says that she's not going to be back to finish the book, although she is a little curious about what kind of creature or person Maria actually is. Next, we have Point Option by Ian A. O'Connor. It's a standalone book of time travel science fiction. Usually it's $4, but today it's free. And it is in Kindle Unlimited. So the author is a retired Air Force colonel, and he's got other military thrillers up on Amazon. So I do like time travel, and I do like military thrillers. And I read like the first 5 or 6 chapters of this book. And there's a lot of military minutia stuff happening. So the prologue is exciting. There's a Russian submarine, and there's an electrical storm of some kind that it wipes out a lot of the electronics, and they're on the verge of like sinking or something. And then before we find out what happened to them, we switch to the first chapter of the book once it's going, and it's the point of view of David Fleming, a major in the U.S. Air Force. He's saying goodbye to his wife. He's got a new assignment. He's going to be flying jets off of the military's newest, biggest aircraft carrier. And his wife has been having a recurring nightmare about his plane being hijacked by some unexplained force and him being lost forever at sea. Well, that doesn't stop him from going. And then for the next 5 chapters, it's a lot of detail about him traveling to the naval base in Italy, then getting on the aircraft carrier, then learning his way around the carrier and meeting people on it, like very, very detailed. And then finally, and the airplane is damaged while in flight, electronics burned out, its paint is stripped, the parents almost die, and nobody can figure out what's going on. And meanwhile, all people's electronics have been going a little haywire, and communications and weather have been acting really weird. So it is a very, very slow beginning. I do like the military aspects of it, but it moves a little bit too slowly for me. I might come back and finish it, but I've got a lot of other books that I'd read first. Okay, next we have Cursed Witch by Brogan Thomas, the 4th of 4 books in the Creatures of the Otherworld urban fantasy series. The other book in the series are $5 each, and they're all in Kindle Unlimited. And she's been on this list before. And in particular, the first book in the series I read back in July of 2021. So Carla read this one. And so she says that these are 4 books that are connected, but feature different protagonists. So you can read them all on your own. So you can start with the 4th book if you want. So the main protagonist is Tuesday Larson, who is a failure. So in this world, there's witches, shapeshifters, vampires, demons, and a lot more. And magic and power determine everything. And Tuesday can't learn even the simplest spells, and her witchy sisters are constantly outshining her. And so she's just furious and embarrassed, and she can't get anything right. And when yet another attempt to make a simple potion goes haywire, she starts swearing and storms out of the room. And her mother forces her to take a non-swearing potion, which is supposed to last for 2 weeks. And instead, it lasts for 8 years. So the book then jumps forward 8 years to when Tuesday's 24 years old. And she's still dealing with the effects of this potion, which can cause her a little bit of embarrassment when she tries to swear. She's trying to lead a normal, non-magical life and has distanced herself from her family and coven, but she's still protected by various wards and potions that her sister provide for her. And then intruders violently attack her apartment, and she scoops up her pet dragon, Daisy, and tries to escape. So Carla says that she hasn't heard of the author before this, but now this author is on her check. She's got to keep checking this author out. She says Tuesday's absolutely hilarious. She's a sucker for a cute magical pet. Carla says she only planned to read a couple chapters, but wound up reading more and is planning to head back to the book as soon as she finished writing the review for me. So she says, for anyone looking for funny, cozy fantasy with a strong female lead, she says this is your weekend reading. All right, next we have Witchy Whiskers by Danielle Garrett. And here you go, there's the cover. The first of 4 books in the 9 Lives Magic Cozy Paranormal Romantic Mystery series. The other books are $1 each and are all in Kindle Unlimited. Except for the last book, which is $5 and scheduled to be released later this month. That might not be completely accurate. I should have double checked that. There's 6 books in the series now. And I think, and the 6th book is due to be released in January. And the 5th book is due to be released at the end of this month on August 31st. There you go. Okay, so Noreen Brunner read this book, and she says that Cora Hirth is a witch who owns a store that sells objects with magical properties. And a handsome man comes in who wants to buy gifts for his mother, and she sells him a candle that creates the illusion of being in Hawaii, with a gushing waterfall in the background and soft fairy lights twinkling above. And she loved the writing style here. She says it's lush and imaginative, lots of visual imagery, and she especially liked the description of the magical candles when it's lit. So this is a world where being a witch and having a familiar cat is totally normal. And people come to the store knowing she's a good witch in order to buy magical items. And the cat can talk and has a strong personality and is grumpy and sarcastic. Just the way I like my magical cats. And complications ensue. Cora's ex-husband is back, and they parted on good terms, but he just conveniently happens to show back up again now that she's interested in another guy. And then there's a mystery and a murder. So you've got everything. It's the trifecta of cozy paranormal mysteries. So Noreen says she personally prefers science fiction, but she gives this novel a solid 7 out of 10 for magical fantasy romance and recommends it to people who like this genre, which is me. I like this genre. And I like the fact that it's in Kindle Unlimited. So this is exactly the book for me, because I need cozy, magical, mystery, romantic mayhem in my life this weekend. Then we have the number 2 book on the list, Final Light by Marie Wilkens, a standalone book of EMP survival. It is in Kindle Unlimited if you miss this deal, and it's $1 normally. So Alex KOROLOV read this. He reads all of our EMP books. So EMP is electromagnetic pulse. This is an attack or a solar flare sometimes that takes out all electronics, but leaves people and animals and plant life completely untouched. So it's a survivalist dream. Everyone is sent back to, basically the industrial pre-electronic age. And there's a big fad for these books on right now. I personally hate them. I think the whole premise is ridiculous. But anyway, so Alex says he read the first few chapters and he doesn't think there's anything special about this book that makes it better than any other EMP book, so he's not going to keep reading. He says he feels like that he's read this story already more than once when reviewing these books. Oh no, even Alex is burned out on EMP. All right, so he says the story is that Roxy is a young ranch hand who works for some rich people. She's driving to a nearby town to go to a bank when the EMP shuts down her car and everybody else's. But people don't go crazy right away, but they still know that something has gone really wrong. She walks back to the ranch and everybody's like super confused and everybody's wondering what's going wrong. So Alex says if you like EMP books for fun, just because you're into the whole EMP premise, this is a fine book, but it's nothing special. And finally, the number 1 book on today's free fantasy and science fiction shelf on Amazon is the Awaken Fate series starter box set by Skye Malone. And this is a collection of the first 3 of 9 books in the Awaken Fate urban fantasy series. The other books in the series are $4 each, but they're all in Kindle Unlimited. So the story is about Chloe, who's a high school girl who's grown up in Kansas, and her parents are a little weird. They've been keeping her away from water her whole life. Swimming pools, beaches, they don't even have a bathtub in the house, just a tiny shower. And she's always had this urge to go to the ocean. She loves the water, and her parents are like, no. And so she's going to be going away to college in a year, and she's planning to go to college near the sea. But until then, she's like stuck at home for a year. So during the summer, She sneaks out of the house to meet up with her best friend Bailey and her friend's dog to go on vacation with her. And the vacation is they're visiting Bailey's family in California. They have a house on the beach. So they drive to California, and Chloe is absolutely ecstatic when she finally sees the water. And they're staying with Bailey's relatives, and who include Bailey's stepbrothers, one of whom is cute and mysterious, named Noah. And Chloe is flustered whenever she's around him. And she sits on the beach and puts her feet in the water, and she just loves it. And then the point of view switches to some guy named Zeke. But no, wait, he's not a guy. He's a merman, and he's swimming around in the ocean looking for his twin sister, Ina. And then while out swimming, he sees the girl sitting by the shore, and he feels like a bolt of lightning has shot through him. Not because he thinks she's cute, but like literal lightning. And he swims closer and overhears the tail end of Chloe's conversation with Noah from the previous chapter. So I guess it's Chloe that he sees. So it turns out that when she put her feet in the water, she electrocuted the ocean. And when her feet had been in the water, Zeke saw them start to change. So it sounds like Chloe is a mermaid and doesn't know. So it's curious how that happened. So the next day, Chloe goes on a boat with Noah and Bailey, and the boat is hit by something. The water just started roiling and knocked the boat over, and she falls into the water. She can't swim because she's never been in the water before. And someone rescues her. She thinks it's Noah, but it's actually Zeke, who's like, I guess, following her around. And he thinks that there's something about Chloe that's making the ocean go crazy. Then Noah grabs her and pulls her to the surface, and a Coast Guard ship comes to rescue them. And then we switch back to Zeke's point of view. He thinks that there's he thinks that there's something really weird about Chloe, and he follows the Coast Guard boat. He plans to go on shore, turn back into human form, and figure out what's going on. So the book is highly readable and definitely pulls you in. It's not my taste. It looks like it's a teenage drama love triangle kind of situation, which I am not a fan of. So I'm not going to be sticking with it. But if it's your kind of thing, then you are totally in luck, because you've got a lot of great reading ahead of you, and the whole series is in Kindle Unlimited too. So there you go. All right. So if you like this kind of content, please support our channel by hitting the like and the subscribe button. You can also support us on Patreon. I want to thank our Patreon contributors. You guys are awesome. You rock. Your support helps pay for original fiction on our site and keeps everything for free. And we also have a newsletter where if you want to get this article with the top 10 free books every single Friday afternoon, you can sign up to the newsletter and get that in your email so you don't miss a single one. Or of course, you can just subscribe to this channel. All right, everybody. I'll see you next Friday. Bye-bye.